Thank you. A question for Vice President. Yesterday, during the start of the COP29, the Azerbaijan president said...
Georgie, wait a minute, because the minister...
He said, the Azerbaijan president said that for him oil and gas is a gift of God. And I was wondering, what is your reaction? Do you consider oil and gas as a gift of God? And question to Minister Silva, as you know, there's already a discussion, a draft about the new quantity aid or package. So my question is about the number that is being discussed. What would be a good number of a new goal of financial aid for Brazil? Would be $1 trillion a good number to start the discussion?
Uma coisa importante é termos claro que os esforços que estão sendo feitos com os recursos de que dispomos, tanto financeiros quanto tecnológicos, têm se mostrado comprovadamente insuficientes. Tanto é que em 2023 nós chegamos a 1,5 de temperatura da Terra, em comparação com o período pré-industrial, que estava previsto para acontecer, quem sabe, em 2021. Aconteceu em 2023. Os esforços precisam ser aumentados e para que eles sejam aumentados é preciso que os recursos financeiros sejam igualmente aumentados. E se existe uma convergência é de que esses recursos precisam ser na ordem de trilhões.
Money have to be trillions in the order. So public resources have to be mobilized from donations and the private sector. So this combination is already happening, but not in quantity, in the amount or the speed that is needed. So Brazil is one more developing country which wants the developed countries to do the necessary contributions in terms of financial resources, the cooperation when we talk about technology. This debate is at the table here at the most important success indicator of this COP, and what we expect is that we can leave here giving enough consequence to what we decided on COP28, meaning investment must have resources, and that must be done at the speed necessary. Climate change requires, because it's causing to human populations what happened in Spain and the United States and Africa and Asia, in Brazil with droughts, is a show that it is much needed to have this. The goals and the ambition in relation to financial resources. In regards to a gift of God, I should say that God does give us gifts, but we should be taking care with moderation in relation to the presents that we are given. If we eat too much sugar, certainly we're going to be diabetic.
Timothy, to the National.
Hello, I'm also asking in English. Tim Stichings from the National. Mr. Vice President, there's some discussion and proposals from the United States, for example, about emerging economies becoming contributors to international climate finance. If Brazil is able to be this ambitious in its climate targets, can it also be a contributor to climate finance? Thank you.
Uma palavrinha antes. Dê uma palavrinha antes, depois eu...
Thank you. Eu vou responder em português? Melhor. Vou responder em português.
The discussion of financial resources that is happening here in Baku is within the rules of the convention and within the Paris Agreement rules. And in this context, the discussion refers to the resources that are going from developed countries to developing countries. So having into account the frustrating experience of the previous stage, when there should have been offered $100 billion a year from 2020 to 2025, which never happened. There is a discussion that maybe in 2023 there was the case, but these are data that are very disputed. But taking into account that developed countries did not fulfill this first attempt that was tried in the former 5 years, it is very hard to find or to think that it is only reasonable that developed countries to believe that the solution is to embed new countries which in the rules of the convention and the Paris Agreement do not have the obligation to provide these monies. They may offer financial resources voluntarily and one-off, whereas developed countries must offer these resources mandatorily and at the speed and frequency determined by the agreement. Therefore, what is happening is that there's a question being asked in a way that there's no answer specifically. What we expect is that developed countries establish what are the resources that they will ensure to developing countries. And this is in a context that developed countries insist there's a great climate urgency with which we agree totally. However, when we talk about resources, climate urgency is not applicable. In other words, there's no urgency of getting resources to urgently be able for developing countries to do away with their climate challenges. So we think that the discussion was kind of deviated from developed countries instead of them responding according to what they should based on the rules of the negotiations, what's happening in Baku. Are we done? Yes? Okay. Everyone, thanks so much. We really have to wrap up. The UN is requesting us to the room. Okay, one question, one last question about NDC. One question on NDC. She's not speaking into the microphone. We apologize.
Naquele artigo, eu acho que o que está
I think what is being put is that Brazil wants to make this as an option to see if Brazil, in due time, if the carbon market globally is enough attractive, then Brazil will have this option. We will never close a door. This is what the article says. Thank you. Okay, everyone, thank you.